Hi there, pilots. Welcome back to your very own Mayday podcast. I'm your host, Aryan, and today we'll be talking about two of aviation's most well-known mysteries and disasters. Joining us today will be two aviation experts who will explain these incidents to the best of their abilities. Before we start, I would like to have some condolences for the people that have lost their families and were victims for these incidents. Nobody should have gone through this, and I hope now they're at least having a better time in their life. Let's start with the introduction of our first case and our first guest. As flight specialist Danuga will be talking about the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disaster. And now let's welcome Danuga to the stage. Hello Danuga, are you ready to help us learn about this incident?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Well, let's start with our first question. Can you give us a brief explanation of the Malaysia airport disaster?
Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was an international flight with 227 passengers and 12 crew members operated by Malaysia Airlines that disappeared on radar on 8 March 2014 while flying to the Beijing airport in China.
Do you know anything about the whereabouts of this flight?
Well, the flight has not been found, although it has been rumored that it's in the Indian Ocean.
Okay, so no place on where the whereabouts happened, but what about the exact day of the incident? If you know, just by chance.
The crew of the Boeing 777-200ER last communicated with air traffic control around 38 minutes after takeoff when it was over the South China Sea. The other radar was lost, and soon after another hour, all radars to the flight were gone, eventually losing the flight.
Were you able to find the flight, or did it get rescued?
The plane was a search for the aircraft that soon became the most expensive one, and up to this day, the flight was not rescued. None of the bodies were found, which is unexpected and unfortunate.
Okay, how did this impact the world?
Well, the aviation industry is now using global satellites to track planes after the radar couldn't see them to make sure another plane couldn't disappear from the radar. And so far, it has been very successful.
Thank you, Danuga, for the insights of the Malaysian airport flight disaster. Now we shall be heading on to our break, and after the break, we'll be talking to flight specialist Lucas about his knowledge about the Tenerife airport disaster. Welcome back, everyone, from the break, and now we shall be continuing by interviewing flight specialist Lucas about the Tenerife airport disaster.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you're excited to hear about this aviation incident.
So let's start with this interview. Alright, Lucas, what happened exactly in this Tenerife airport disaster?
The Tenerife airport disaster happened in Los Rodeos Airport on the 27th of March, 1997. What happened was the collision of two Boeing 747 passenger jets on the runway. The planes involved were KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736. At 5:06 p.m., KLM Flight 4805 started its takeoff run, and when they did, as they were in the air, although quite low to the ground, it crashed into the right side of Pan Am Flight 1736.
Okay, so do you know exactly why did this happen? Was there something wrong in the flight?
It was mainly caused by two factors: pilot error and the fact that the weather that day was terrible. There was dense fog everywhere, and the only reason the two planes were there was due to a bomb explosion in their initial destination, and they had to be diverted to the Los Rodeos airport. They both sat on different runways, waiting for the green light from air traffic control to get in the air. Because of the dense fog, visibility was greatly reduced for both of the pilots and the control tower. Soon, KLM Flight 487's captain, Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, had the mistaken belief that air traffic control had given him the green light to take off. So they started plowing down the runway, where Pan Am Flight 1736 was getting into takeoff position. With the fog, it was hard for any of the pilots to see over 100 feet in front of them. By the time Flight 4805's captain realized his mistake and saw the other plane, it was too late. The two planes collided, resulting in a catastrophic loss of life.
So just to ask, I know it's like kind of mystery, but still, did this flight kind of get like rescued, or was like everyone, or did everyone die?
The catastrophic incident may seem like there were no ways for people to survive, but on the contrary, from the wreckage, 61 people from Pan Am Flight 1736 were rescued and managed to survive. The other 335 people on Flight 1736, however, unfortunately lost their lives. Nobody out of the 248 people on KLM Flight 4805 survived. The total death toll was 583 fatalities, making this the deadliest aviation disaster in human history.
So how could we pretty much like avoid this incident so that like, if we ever did this like incident again, it would just be like easily avoided, kind of?
Right, first of all, we could take better precautions on days where there are bad weather conditions, and air traffic control could be a little more clear when clearing planes for takeoff and landing, so this does not happen again.
Thank you, Lucas, for that information. I hope you guys like this podcast, and make sure to check the Mayday Corner. That's right. Right now, it's 50% off at mayday.ca. In our next episode, we'll be learning about the great Amelia Earhart and her efforts to the aviation industry with pilot vomit. Until next time, pilots.